Welcome back to the Relationship Mentors podcast. Today's episode, we are going to be answering assumptions that you guys have made about us. So I think that's going to be a really exciting episode.
Yeah.
And before we get into it, let's just do a little catch up what we've been up to the past week or the week to come.
This week's been a write-off for me. Been real sick. I had a virus. Haven't been ill in about a year. I was telling me the last time we were ill, we were in a bud in Bali and I had Bali belly really bad. And we were having these charcoal tablets to try and settle my stomach. If anyone's been to Bali, you know what it's like with the sickness and you're just stuck on the toilet. And we were going to climb Mount Batura, which is this volcano in Bali. And the bus leaves about 3:00 in the morning to start driving towards there, like an hour's drive, and then about 4 hours up and down the mountain. And I was stuck to the toilet like all night and I couldn't get up. And I was really, really worried. So that was like the last time I remember being sick. And it's really, it was exactly a year. I was looking in my photo of like when we climbed that mountain. It was exactly a year ago.
So
Yeah.
sick once a year.
Yeah, sick once a year. And this week was it. A lot of virus, a lot of vomiting and just cold shivers. Do you know like when you can't regulate your body temperature? It's just cold. Like that's something you take for granted so much because it's not something you think about unless it's taken away from you. So yeah, really valuing health this week, getting back into it. So that's about my week. Like that's the main thing that took up my week, to be honest.
Yeah, and like when you're sick, it really just consumes you as well. Not like you specifically, but just like overall, like when you are sick and not feeling well, it's different to having like a slight cold compared to like having a whole virus and just like your body is really going through it. And it's like your whole body just doing everything it can to get back to a state of calm or
It's
peace.
mad that the body does that. Hey, it's like I was vomiting everything. Like I couldn't drink water without vomiting, and I was really thirsty. And it's crazy. Like the body thinks obviously there's something in it that it doesn't like, and it's just trying to get rid of it as fast as possible. And even I cut my ear. Like this is something so random, and then it's like how cool that blood clots. Like imagine blood didn't clot, and if you cut yourself, that's it. You're dead. You have to wear a plaster for the rest of your life.
You have to stop picking.
Yeah, imagine that.
That.
Imagine you had a cut and then it just kept bleeding over and over. So you'd have to wear a plaster for the rest of your life then. Like imagine blood didn't clot. Isn't that crazy?
That is something that I
I never
think
thought about that
but
until it happened. I was like, imagine you just didn't stop bleeding.
look at the gratitude you have.
Oh, so much gratitude
Amazing
for health.
bodies.
Yeah. How's your week been, Mia Cherry?
My week has been really good. Again, it's just like we do a lot of things together, so you've had a pretty like mellow week, and so I feel like my week has also it's like felt the same, but the energy is just different as well because it also has been like super moody of like the weather. It's like super cloudy and gloomy, which also then adds to the feeling that you'd probably be feeling inside when you were sick.
Yeah. The weather represents how I felt.
External representation. But then little bub update. I'm currently 18 weeks and 4 days. So bub is the size of a cucumber and we should be able to find out the sex of bub in at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
which is
2
very
weeks to find out the
exciting.
sex. That'll be so cool. And we're saying like your belly's doubled in size this week.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow over time linearly. It's like it doesn't grow at all, and then you wake up the next morning and it's grown like an inch or two.
Yeah, it was just kind of hard at the beginning through like the first trimester is obviously very small. You can't really tell anything. But then since in the first trimester, your metabolism is still like slowing down and wasn't moving as much and eating more carbs. So I was bloating more through those 3 months. And then even when I moved into the second trimester, even that bub was growing. It still just felt like it was bloating and it was really hard to differentiate both of them.
Yeah.
But then now it sort of got to a point where I'm like, okay, my stomach is like definitely
a baby.
so much bigger.
Yeah.
And it's only in that area, which is great. Like it's only growing in that area. So
And you've stayed skinny. Like your legs and your arms and stuff.
well, we're only 18 weeks
Only
in.
18 weeks in.
So, but it is nice because I do feel like a balloon. So it's nice for you
Actually-
to remind me of like, no, it's like it generally is just your belly. Like your legs are the same, my arms are the same, my face is the same. Because it's like when you're feeling it, it just is super. Just feels like it, you know?
Yeah, and body image is something really important for you, isn't it? And it's like a whole nother level of self-love.
Yeah, this was something I was thinking about when I was going to sleep last night. It's like, it's so interesting because Charlie's always encouraging me, like, take progress photos. Like, you're really going to want to remember these times, and like take like body updates of like showing bub growing and videos, update things like that. And then as I was going to sleep, I was like, do you know what's so interesting? It's like my biggest insecurity throughout my childhood was always like the way that my stomach looked. And then it's so interesting for like now in my life to then be like, you know, post it online.
Yeah.
Have updates of your belly getting even bigger, which like used to be my biggest insecurity. Like if I had one insecurity that took up majority of my lifetime, it would have been my stomach not being like super flat like the Victoria's Secret models back in the day. And then now that it's getting further and further away from that, it's like, take a photo, post it online, have an update.
And fearing what other people think. And then now it's like the total opposite of posting your belly online where everyone can see it as well.
Yeah.
It's just the complete opposite. So everything's personal development, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just such an interesting concept that I was thinking about. And I was thinking about, I wonder what your biggest insecurity is. And like, let's post that all over live.
One of mine, you know what my insecurity is now?
Yeah.
It's public embarrassment. And this is quite a new thing. We'll do a little quick story time.
Yeah, that's good.
About 2 years ago, Mira and I were fresh dating. We were only like a few months in. And then I'm from the UK, so it's really cold in the UK. Then I'm over here in Australia, and it was really humid and really hot. So at nighttime, I don't wear any clothes. And in my old house, I didn't have aircon in my room, so I just had the fan going. So I'm laying naked on top of my sheets in my bed, and I was posting on Instagram. I was posting like stories and stuff. No, I was reading a book, and then I was like, oh, these quotes are really good. I want to post them on my stories because I love posting personal development stuff. So I put my phone down on the bed to take a photo of the bed. Do you know when it's just like a black screen? So then I can write the quote on top of it. But Instagram have this thing. Well, iPhone has this thing. When you take a photo, there's like a 2 or 3 second pause when you're in a dark place. So the camera can have the best chance to get more light into that photo to make it as bright as possible. So I put my phone down on the bed, took the photo, and then like 3 seconds later, the photo actually got taken. And by that point, my phone was like directly pointing at my balls. And then but it was still black. When I was writing the text on top of it, it was still black, the screen. So I'd write the text, post it, do it again. And I posted like 3 or 4 different quotes and 3 or 4 different photos of my balls. And there were different angles every time you saw the photos. And then I posted it, and then I put my phone down, and I was getting so many messages and calls and stuff. And then I looked at my stories, and my balls were on my stories, and they were just there in different angles with a personal development quote on top of it. So it was like my balls, personal development quote, and then I think only like 10 or 20 people saw it.
Yeah,
by the time I got rid of it, yeah.
Later, like it was like 10:30 or something, because I remember I didn't see it when it happened because I was already in bed sleeping.
So I think I called you after.
I woke up to many missed calls and messages from Charlie.
Yeah.
The next morning.
It's the biggest cringe thing. Then I deleted it, and then I refreshed my phone, checked they were deleted. I think I like turned off my phone, turned it back on, checked it was deleted. Just like I checked so many times that it was deleted. And then I tried to go to bed. So I put my phone on the side, tried to go to bed. And then I had to recheck again that they were definitely deleted because I didn't want to leave it on my stories till the morning. And this happened like 5 times. I had to keep checking my phone to make sure they were deleted.
And you even say now that like you still have that fear of like, oh my God, I need to check my stories to make sure nothing's there.
Yeah,
like,
I'd post something completely random.
Something?
And I'm like, I got to make sure my balls aren't on my story somehow, or I haven't posted, I don't know.
Yeah, like, or in a reel that you've uploaded, like, is there something that you're doing? Like, not that you did anything when you were recording it, but it's just in your mind now.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how like that one event that's happened in your life can be so traumatic. I would say that you can not label it that if you don't want to, but that it just sticks with you for so long. Does that make sense? It's like, I remember even, for example, when I got into a car accident when I was 18, something like that, when I like had my first car, I was driving my friend and I to TAFE, and then this traffic had stopped with a person behind me that was well and truly so far behind, didn't see me, and so for the whole like 15 seconds I was watching her just drive from so far away all the way up and then just crash into me. And so that in itself was so traumatic that every time I brake in my car now, I'll always look at my revision mirror.
Yeah.
Because I was like, and I'll always make sure that there's so much plenty of room, or there's enough room for me to like move off.
Move out the way.
Since we're on a highway and all traffic had stopped, like there was nowhere for me to turn to get out of the way.
Especially if there's like a big truck behind you or something.
Yeah. And like if there was a place for me to get off the road, I would have done that because she was so far away and I was just watching her not look ahead. And I think she had a baby in the back. And so she was like looking backwards at that.
It's so easy, just that lapse of concentration. And like trauma is classed as still having intense negative emotion towards an event that's over 18 months old. Like that's how I class it when I've read up about it. And it's like, it is such a thing. Like your car accident was 7 years ago. Me posting my balls on my story was like 2 years ago. And whenever I post something now, I'm like worried that I posted my balls somewhere. And even the online programs we've created, and there's parts I didn't edit out of me. Like if I've been recording all day and then I record and I mess it up, there's parts where I went, oh, fuck's sakes, and then kept recording. And they were still in the online program.
And you go back
and like people message like, hey, you might want to edit this out. I'm like, oh no, like such an intense feeling in my stomach. So yeah, it keeps coming up. How do we start that? The insecurity stuff. Biggest insecurity.
I started off with just my
I think the listeners would have enjoyed that story.
My weekly update that got me into thinking about insecurities. And I think it's a great segue into now that you've heard some of our insecurities. Let's go into the assumptions that you guys have messaged us that you perceive our life to be.
It's like how people perceive you versus how you perceive yourself can be so different. And we can make assumptions about everyone in our life. Like we can guess what their life is like, what their intimate relationships like, what their finances like, how they met, how everything. Like everyone can guess. Especially when you post online, like a lot of people see us, so a lot of people would have assumptions.
Yeah, and even like they always say, it's like social media is just 1% of your life, and there's so much happening behind the scenes. But I even think with even our friends or the people that you know, there's still a large percent or a massive percent of them that you don't fully know, and there's still assumptions that you're making of them, even if it is your best friend, even if it is your like family members. There's so many assumptions that you're always making about people, whether you fully recognize it or not. Okay, ready to go into the first one?
Let's go.
Okay, so the first assumption is you met on Tinder.
That's a fair assumption. Like so many relationships that are formed these days do start on dating apps.
They do say, like studies have shown that they are the most effective way to find someone these days. But then there's also a new study that came out within the last month saying that a lot of women are getting off of dating apps. I think it had gone down by like 87% of women have left dating apps.
Yeah, it's like
Something
for every
like
3 men on dating apps, there's only 1 woman.
And that was before the new statistic.
And that was before that. So yeah, it's just supply and demand, isn't it? Like the demand for women is way higher than the demand for men because there's way less women on dating apps. So it can be like a pretty bad place for a lot of men. But anyway, did we meet on Tinder? No. I originally saw you on Hinge, though. I remember coming across your profile, and then I messaged you, and you didn't reply. But then I was scrolling Instagram one day, and then an advert came up of you working for a marketing agency, that your old job, and you were saying like what you're doing in your career, digital marketing stuff, how much money you made for companies. I was like, oh, that's hot. And I recognized that girl. And then the ad just kept coming up. And then I went over to find your Instagram account and then dropped you a message.
Yeah.
So I saw you on Hinge first, so I knew you were single. And then I saw you on the Instagram ad and then messaged through that.
That's so good. And it's like, I think we've spoken about this on the podcast before. It was like I've only ever been on one dating app, and that was Hinge. But my intention was never to date anyone off of Hinge. It was purely just for like instant gratification from
validation.
Validation of like, it's nice to wake up and see like, oh, like all these people are interested in
these people want me. Like that feels so great.
100%. And I don't know if a lot of people fully admit to that, but if you ask them, I know a lot of people are on dating apps solely for that reason, that they're on dating apps, they're not wanting to meet someone on a dating app, but they do enjoy being on it because of that gratification that they get.
They have no intention of going on dates. They just like the feeling of people complimenting them. And it's so normal, like wanting that and craving that and that boosting your confidence. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think a lot of women are doing that?
On dating apps for that reason?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Every single woman
Do you see
I
it
talk
as,
to,
I don't know, you can't see it as right or wrong. It's like people are doing it for their own reasons.
You in life, you utilize everything. And that's what a lot of people utilize dating apps for. Like, I believe men would do it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, on that, to answer our assumption, we did not meet on Tinder. We did officially meet on Instagram because that's when you said, because you were following me on Instagram for like at least 2 weeks. And then you messaged me and then he unsent the message. I did see it.
No way. No, I did a flame emoji, didn't I?
Oh yeah, you reacted to a story. It was like one I noticed when he started following me because I was like, oh, it's a really attractive guy. But it's like I wasn't interested in like initiating anything with anyone. It's like I just like wasn't looking for a relationship at that time. I was single, but it's like I just am having the best time with all my girlfriends and work colleagues and things like that back then. So I was like, oh yeah, he's really attractive. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if he will like send me a message. And then I just watch all my stories. And it's like 2 weeks later, then you reacted to a story, and I'm like, well, that wasn't
it's not good enough.
Yeah, that wasn't a strong enough slide
Opener.
in, opener or whatever. So I just left it in the request section, but I did see it because I was like waiting for you to message me, and then I think a couple days later, I think it was, or maybe less than a week later, you unsent it. And
I was
then
like, I hope she didn't see this.
Yeah, you cringed so much when I
That's so
shared
funny.
with you that I actually saw your message, but just chose not to respond and then knew that you unsent it. And then his next message was a long message of saying like, hey, like seeing...
It was a good opener.
Yeah, it was really good. So then I chose to respond to it. And then he unfollowed me and then followed me again after I responded to his text message.
Did I?
Yeah, because I remember, like, you
I
sent
don't
me
think
a
I ever
good...
followed you.
So you were just watching every single story that I posted every day?
Yeah, I was watching from afar. I was like, I'm interested in this person and I want to watch her lifestyle to see what type of person she is, if she's someone for me.
So you just had me in your search. How many girls did you have in your search bar that you were
I was watching like 20 women from afar.
clicking
Had this
on?
big list, like Squid Games. No, I didn't.
Interesting.
I can't remember if I followed you though.
Either way,
I might have.
Every story, I gathered that you had already followed me, but
You can see who watches all your stories.
every
which is
story that
great.
I was posting, you had been watching. And then
Sound
at
like such
once
a
I
creep.
responded to... No, because I feel like a lot of people, so many people do this, men and women. And I think just when you talk about it, you're like, oh, wow, like, is that creepy? But then just like everyone does it. That's what social media is now. It's like you literally follow people. That's what Instagram is. It's like, let me follow you. So
Yeah, when you hyper analyze a situation, you can turn it really creepy. But
yeah, but that literally is like, I am following you on Instagram. Like you have like 80 something followers that are following you. Does that make sense? So anyway, I don't find it that creepy. It was very sweet. I feel like we had a very meet cute of, you had a really good slide in at the end of it. I think it's really funny that you
The things
unsent a
previously.
message. And then, yeah, but by the time that we messaged each other or messaged back and forth, within the first couple of messages, we had already organized our first date for that week, which was really sweet. Then the rest was history.
and then
We deleted
we
the
closed
Hinge.
the deal. I deleted Hinge straight away.
Oh, that's so
Isn't that
sweet.
nice?
Yeah. I don't remember when I did, but I'm sure it was. We went on lots of dates really quickly.
We did.
So it was really sweet. Okay, so assumption number 2. We never partied and goody two shoes.
We had a different relationship with alcohol and partying growing up, didn't we?
Yeah.
You really surprised me when you told me yours. I feel like I'm in more of the majority of, as soon as I turned like 15, 16, started drinking, going to the pub. And I remember on my 18th birthday going to the pub, and I'd already been going there for like 2 years. And then the guy behind the bar who owned the place was like, what? You're just 18 now? And you've been there for like 2 years, even though I've got such a baby face. Like everyone just starts drinking so early, as soon as possible in the small town I was from. And then, yeah, just kept going on the piss every weekend. That's just what you did. Work through the week, play football on a Saturday morning, and then go out drinking Saturday night, and then just do the same every single week. And then going away to different cities, drinking, partying, going to festivals, and just having a great time. And then growing out of it about 21, 22, I just had I just couldn't be bothered for it anymore. And then drunk a little bit for the next few years, and then completely stopped drinking alcohol at like, how old am I now? 28. Probably like 24, 25.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. Mine was, I was like, in Australia, you can drink at 18. For any Americans that are watching, that it is 21.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that such a long time?
So
but you can drive at 18.
Yeah, so I could start drinking at 18, and for some reason it just like wasn't really a big thing. Like my older sister and I just weren't really big drinkers. It never seemed very interesting. Like we weren't interested in it. I didn't like the taste of it. So by the time I had like my first whole alcoholic drink, I was 21. Obviously, like on my 18th birthday, they bought me alcohol and I would sip it, but it was so disgusting. And then like even now when I look back, it's like so many people bought me drinks, but I felt bad that I wasn't drinking it, so I would waste it, of like pour it down the sink or do this, or
give it to
they
people.
would like buy shots. Like I would still go clubbing because I love dancing and I love like having a good time with my friends, but I just wouldn't drink any alcohol there. And so when you meet people at the club and like, you know, when you have like, I just remember there was one like older lady and she was so excited. She's like, yeah, let's like get all these shots, like bought all these shots for like my whole group of friends and her. And then I just remember pretending to take it and then putting the shot back on the bar bench and then walking away, like not acting like I had it, but I was just like, I don't want to drink that. But now realizing I'm like, I feel like that person would have so rather me say, oh no, it's okay. So she could have saved that money, or all the people that have ever bought me alcohol beverages,
a lot of wasted
and I just
alcohol
put
over
it
the
down
years.
the sink. Yeah. So now, then when I was 21, had some, like it was really nothing. And then it was only when I worked at a marketing agency where they, like my co-workers, really like to go out to nice places and have a drink or two. And that was really nice. It was super classy. It was like cocktails and it was just like such a nice experience. And that's also when I met Charlie. And I feel like Charlie met me in my most party era where
It was hardly anything.
yeah, it was literally nothing. We'd just go to like such a nice restaurant, or like the Pav here at the Gold Coast, which is just such a beautiful location, and having a cocktail or two, and it's so beautiful and elegant and
Yeah,
just
classy.
such a nice experience. And so I really enjoyed that. But then once I stopped working there, maybe when a group of friends would come over, we'd have one glass of wine once a year. Or like at Christmas, maybe at Christmas time, my sister and I do make like a nice punch that is alcoholic. A lot of that's also, there's a small amount of alcohol with a whole lot of like
Orange juice and shit.
orange juice, soda, and all these fruits in it, which is just so yum. So it's like, yeah, don't really drink that much.
So
I'm not
Mia is
fully against
goody,
it.
Yeah, goody two shoes.
Yeah, I was like, I would never say that because I'm like, I just do what I want. I've never feel
You
peered.
never wanted to.
Yeah, I've never wanted to. I didn't really like that taste of alcohol until I found obviously like mixes that make it super sweet and super like yum.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, like I wouldn't say it's goody two shoes. It's just like I'm just doing what I like to do and I'm not feeling peer pressured. I've never felt peer pressured into drinking or doing anything that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Which I really like because I feel like that takes a lot of confidence in. So when I talk to some people, they're like, oh, I just feel like I had to, you know, you have
To fit in.
to have a drink. Yeah.
And
So
I remember even it's an ambulance going past. Oh no, it's police. I remember, yeah, Mia had never really gone out drinking, never had a big party era. And then I grew up partying, like going to different festivals, doing different drugs, like that era. And then when Mia fell pregnant the first time, she's like, oh no, it felt like her future got taken away. Like but what if I wanted to do drugs? But what if I wanted to go do a festival? But what if I wanted to do this?
Yeah.
Like Mia had never wanted to do these things in her life, and she still doesn't want to do those things.
Going to a festival, I do want to go, have gone to.
Yeah.
But it's like going to a festival and doing all these substances or like having these experiences. Or
You're so cute.
I love that I said all these substances as if it's like I would take more than one or try one.
Yeah.
But it was so interesting because it's like I've never cared to try any of those things or whatever because I just don't care for it. But then the moment that it felt like it had been taken away from me, it's because I always knew that it was a choice that I didn't want to do it. But when I felt like it had been taken away from me, I was like, oh, I should never do this now. I was like, no, like that's not fair. Like, what if I want to have these experiences? I've never had these experiences. Maybe I do want them. And then, yeah, it turns out I just don't want them. I just didn't like that.
Yeah.
The thought of it had been taken away.
So.
Yeah. Are you a goody two shoes?
No, I wasn't in the past, but I feel like all the partying stuff, I didn't enjoy it that much. I just started drinking as a crutch to be confident. And even when I started dating again after a 7-year relationship, I used alcohol as a crutch to be confident. I then just weaned myself off the alcohol slowly and became confident while I was sober.
Yeah.
So alcohol was really a crutch, and it helped me get into dating and get new friends and stuff. And then from there, I just stopped drinking and became confident without it. Then I realized it's so shit. It's like the worst return on investment. I feel like absolute crap the next day. Most beer tastes like shit. It just wasn't for me when I found out I didn't need alcohol to be confident. So I'm not a goody two shoes, but definitely don't drink anymore.
I can definitely see how we both could be perceived as goody two shoes. I've been perceived as one my whole life, which I think is so fine. Yeah. I just see it as like I'm just I just know what I want and I go with that angle, that path.
Next one.
So number 3, you guys never get annoyed at each other or triggered.
Don't. I never get annoyed at you.
Because I'm perfect.
Because you don't do shit that annoys me. But I'm very patient with you. You're very patient with me as well. And we do get annoyed at each other. It's more you getting annoyed at me.
Yes. It's like I can get frustrated with Charlie, but it had never been like a really big issue. It's like it's never been a big issue. And like anything that has annoyed me, I'm definitely someone that brings it up straight away for like, yes, don't do that, or like when you do that, that's like frustrating. But then now that I am pregnant as well, and which I am enjoying this a lot actually, is that how my emotions are just right there, that I can really activate them the moment that they're there. So the moment that Charlie does something that is frustrating and does annoy me, I express it fully to the extent of the annoyance and the anger.
Oh, I'm told straight away.
I'm enjoying because I believe I've never been like that my whole life. And so it's nice to be like, I feel angry or I feel annoyed. And it's like, Arr!
There's been so many moments where a little thing's happened and it's taken you to the height and you've been crying or shouting at me.
It's like I feel the anger and the rage all through my body. Like I've never experienced it before. Of just like so heated that I just don't even know.
Even small things like cooking you sausages, and then I was cooking me sausages, and then I cut the sausages in half to make sure they cook through, and they look cooked through to me, but apparently they weren't. And then I gave them to Mia, and then she came in. She's like, "You burnt my sausages, but they're raw in the middle, and you cut them in half, and I'm just gonna do it myself." You're just like this overwhelm of emotion, and it's just like, wow. Yeah. But you can see why, like, just everything builds up so much and is heightened.
Yeah, this is not a good example because the sausages one, I think, is just such a funny story, and I think that one was definitely that one was definitely just a pregnancy thing, because I remember I was like, I just felt so overwhelmed that I had like so much to do in a short amount of time because I was catching up with a girlfriend, and it's like, I need to do this, this, and this. And so you were cooking sausages to help me, but you weren't helping me because you weren't watching them well, and then they weren't cooked on the ends. And it just seemed like you added more to my plate rather than taking a task away.
Yeah.
And I was distraught. I was like bawling my eyes 100%. Out. It literally felt like my heart was completely broken over these sausages. And now like we laugh about it so much, but it was like in like literally the moment I caught up with my best friend, I told her and I just laughed about it. I'm like, it's so funny how like my heart literally felt so broken about these sausages that weren't cooked and how stressed I felt.
It's cool that all these emotions are coming online.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't know how you go.
Yeah.
So
we do get annoyed at each other.
yeah.
And Mia brings it up so fast. Like as soon as someone's not sitting right with her, she tells me straight away. And then sometimes I don't take it on board till a couple times she's told me. And that can cause frustration as well.
Yeah, but I always think it's like it's so small in the scheme of things. Of like the fact that we do get annoyed at each other. Like I feel like you do get annoyed with me, and I get annoyed with you. I just maybe communicate it more, or I just get more annoyed at you more frequently and frustrated with you. However, it's not like what we hear in some other relationships where they get annoyed and then they keep it to themselves, and then it blows up into this massive argument, and then like a couple weeks later or months later, it's like since we bring it up so quickly, we can get to the resolution really quickly. It's like we have the frustration, it's like and then the next second we can just go back to normal because it's such a small disagreement.
Absolutely.
Anything else on that?
No, just like we have little annoyances every day, little triggers, little disagreements, but we never let it build up into big things. So I feel like that assumption's... Yeah. I can see how people are like that. Like I've been told so many times, like I bet you never argue. I bet it's so easy.
Even from our close friends, when they're saying things, it's like, oh, it's like I'm sure like you guys don't experience this, or which is really interesting. It's like, yeah, we 100% argue or have I don't know argue, but like we definitely have like tiffs and annoyances at each other. We just know how to handle it.
Work through it pretty fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Okay, the next one is you guys are wanting to get married.
Ooh. This is such a... Like, I'm so not bothered about marriage. It's like, it doesn't mean anything to the relationship in my sense. It's like being engaged means something and putting a ring on it. Like, that is an action. But then just being married, so many people get married to save their relationship. It's like, if we're not great being in a relationship, I know getting married will help that. Or having kids will help that.
Which makes no sense, like that.
It just adds more pressure onto the relationship. And yeah, I'm just so not bothered about getting married. Like, I don't want to do this big day where there's loads of people there. Like, I want to be engaged, but I don't want the fuss of a wedding and a big marriage.
Yeah, I feel like you've just adapted my mentality behind it. It's like I feel like when I was a kid, I was wanting to get married because I believed that being married equaled to having someone by my side forever and that they love me so much. And then as I grew up, like I was wanting to be married at like 19 because that then secured that I was going to be like have someone for the rest of my life that's going to love me and adore me and all those things. And then as I grew up realizing that it's like some people can be so unhappy in a marriage and it's so unhealthy and they have a divorce, things like this, blah, 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 blah. But then now that I am in such a healthy relationship, like us getting married doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? It's like, I know some people do it just like because it's bringing God into your relationship and we believe God or the universe is already a part of our relationship and within us and things like that. So for us, that doesn't really symbolize anything. And it's like, if we were ever to get married, it wouldn't be this big wedding. We wouldn't invite all these people. And so it's like, it just kind of doesn't make sense just for the way that I've seen marriage overall. And then I remember us having a conversation like maybe a year and a half ago or a year ago talking about, because there was a part of me that was still wanting to get engaged, but then that didn't make sense because I didn't want to get married and have a wedding, but I still wanted to be engaged, which was really interesting. And the more that I sat with that, I realized I was like, oh, I want a ring that symbolizes our love for... Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. I wanted a ring that symbolized for like when I walked out of the house and anyone else that saw us could see that.
Yeah.
It's like that symbol of love and commitment and devotion to a significant other, to somebody else. And it's like, I don't even have to say anything. It's like that materialistic thing on that particular finger represents that. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
But we're not bothered about, marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel it changes anything in your relationship. It's just so important to be committed. And so many people are in a marriage and they're unhappy. So, marriage doesn't change the quality of your relationship.
The best thing with a relationship that we always say is like it's such a conscious decision to choose your partner every day. And you can do that in a marriage and you can do that within a relationship. It's just, this is the path that we're choosing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Next one.
Yeah.
Okay, we have lots of sex.
Remember when we first started dating, how much sex we had? That's fun.
I'm a lady.
I'm a
I don't
lady.
want to talk too much about this one.
It's something you constantly need to put effort into. I feel like especially running a business together and living together, that adds extra complexity on the relationship because we're around each other all the time. And it's so easy if we don't make an effort to treat each other like a commodity, like it's always there. We don't have to make an effort to win the other person or impress the other person because we're always around each other. It's so easy to become roommates within a relationship. And that's how the passion dies, the romance dies, the sexuality in the relationship dies. So making an effort to have quality time together is something we are still working on every single week to make sure, that side of the relationship is focused on.
Yeah, I think it's something that you'll forever be working on within your relationship because life is evolving. It's not like when you said it's something that we're working on, made it sound like it was like a bad thing. Like, does that make sense? Like,
it's not a bad thing at all. It's
Yeah.
something we're still putting effort into.
Yeah, it's something that we're still working on as we are still putting effort into it. And it's like as our life goes on, our daily routine evolves and the situations that we do every day evolve. So it's constantly like evolving and readjusting different things. And so I think it's just super important for us. It's like always making sure that we're filling up our own cups and like filling up all the different areas of interactions, business, time apart, all those things. So there's a lot that definitely does go into it. And there's such a difference between like when we were dating and we weren't living together. It's like we would go so long without seeing, long of like hours without seeing each other, things like that it would build that attraction again. Like now it's just like, of course we're so attracted to each other, but it's just not that separation of distance, you know?
Yeah, you have different, the dynamic changes so much when you move in together, and it's so easy just to become roommates, like I said. So making that effort to spend time with each other and realizing it's not your partner's responsibility to turn you on, it's your responsibility to turn you on. And then that makes sex way easier. And sex is such a downstream highlight for what's going on in your relationship. If you're not having sex, there's something upstream that's wrong with that. You're not connected on a day-to-day basis. You're arguing. There's things you still haven't settled. Your communication's terrible. You're not having intellectual intimacy or emotional intimacy. And then all that leads to not having physical sex. So it's like, if you're not having it, if you don't feel connected in that way, there's other things in your relationship that you need to sort in order for that to happen. It's like, just having more sex won't fix your relationship if you're not having it in the first place. It's like, what's causing the lack of sex is where you need to look.
Yeah, so true.
Amazing.
Excellent. So the next one is, your relationship feels easy and we never struggle. So I would say, to me, our relationship definitely feels easy. And I would disagree that we never struggle. It's like there's always different parts in life that you're struggling with, and that obviously affects your relationship on some degree or some level, that you need to lean on your partner more if you're struggling with mental thoughts, like mental side of things, or like the stress of work or family stuff or whatever it is. It's like there's always struggles in that sense, but they're like waves within life. It's like you go through different struggles within life and you just deal with them as they go. But I think overall, life feels easy and relationship feels easy. It's like you hear some people say, it's like, I know relationships are meant to be hard and you put in a lot of work. But it's like, it really isn't that. Like when you're with the right person, yes, you're putting in work and you're putting in effort and you're putting in all these different things, but it's because you're wanting to and you're getting so much of a reward from that as well, that it does feel easy.
Yeah, it does feel easy. like a great relationship doesn't mean you don't have to put any work in and it feels so effortless.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be really, really hard. Like it shouldn't be this massive struggle and effort and chaos and it's more stress. There's so many relationships we know where they know all the tools around relationships and they're really great at making the relationship work, but the relationship isn't great for them. It's like if they didn't have all these tools, they wouldn't be in a relationship. But because they have all these tools, they manage to stay together. But it's such effort for them two to stay together. Because it's naturally like maybe you shouldn't be together. But when you find the right person or you make the person the right person, then it should feel easier. You should have these consistent things like relationship check-ins, staying on the same page, knowing love languages, answering each other's bids for connection, knowing how to reconnect after conflict, simple things like this, and then the relationship can feel easy.
Yeah, and it's like a really big thing for us is like we both value fun. This is something that I was thinking, especially even with the dynamic that you just expressed. Like a big question that I would always get them to ask themselves is like, are you having fun in your relationship? And then if the answer is no, did you guys used to have fun? Or have you never had fun in this relationship and it's just always felt like work?
It's too serious.
Yeah. Are you wanting fun in your relationship? Yes. Okay, great. Can you see yourself having fun with this person? If the answer is no, even that you have all these tools to work through your relationship, are you actually just wanting a different person? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think maybe that's why our relationship feels so easy is because
we're just best friends.
Yeah. It's like there's such a strong level of just fun that we have. It's like we're best friends. We do so much together and like there's just pure, like we genuinely enjoy spending time together.
Yeah. So many couples, they love each other, but they don't like each other.
Yeah. That's very, very common,
it's
which
like
is
they're
sad.
enemies. They just resent each other. Like so much shit has built up over the years where they don't even like the other person, but they stay together anyway.
Yeah. And maybe that's because it's like, since we can trust the other person to bring up anything that's annoying them in the moment or when like within a reasonable amount of time, that I just trust everything that you say at face value and vice versa. So one, there's so much trust there. And since we bring things up as soon as they arise, that the issues are always so small that we can always get back to a place of just like having fun for more of the majority of the day.
Yeah.
Even if there is a day that we have a tiff or and disagreement, majority of the day, if not more than half the day, we're so good and having so much fun. So it's just like really isn't.
And then we have a tiff, but then we can laugh about it afterwards, which is a really good sign that we've you worked through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Next one.
Excellent. So the next one is, you are rich and live an extravagant life.
We don't really live an extravagant life, do we?
I was thinking about this question. It's like, to answer the question, no, we are not rich. And I think extravagant life really depends on how you view it, because I just remember it's like our life doesn't feel extravagant. However, I am so, so grateful for our life and our routine, because I know, like, I grew up in a small country town. There was not that, like, you had to create your own fun. There was just land, dry grass, and
flat brown.
Yeah, it was genuinely just so boring and not enjoyable. I didn't enjoy living there. However, and if I was told that my life was going to look like this, I feel like when I first moved to the Gold Coast, I was like amazed by everything. Like, it's so beautiful here. Like, things are happening. There's so much hustle and bustle, and like, to me, this would have seemed like an extravagant life.
That's so true.
Even like now living it for so many years, it just feels like and that so many of our friends live the exact same lifestyle. It just seems very like I just stay at home a lot. So like I'm just in my humble abode. It's very like peaceful and calming, and I don't really go out of the house that much or things like that. So it definitely doesn't feel extravagant. However, if my younger self would have heard the life that I live now, comparing it to a small country town that I lived in, I would definitely would have viewed it as extravagant.
Yeah, we definitely don't ball out on loads of crap we don't want. It's like we're not interested in getting the nicest car and getting the nicest brands.
We have a beautiful car, a little
we do have a beautiful car. Just like we get to spend our time however we want, eat whatever we want, in control of our time, go to any gym we want. get to, just do all the stuff we want to do.
Yeah, we just live within our means for sure.
Yeah, we live within our means. And then we just structured our life where we get to choose whatever we want. Like it's currently 12 o'clock on a Tuesday and we're just at home and it's raining outside. We're all cozy. We're just filming a podcast together. It's like we've designed our life for life optimization, not just to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, and like when you really think about it, it's like we have a roof over our head, we have food in the fridge, and we have a great relationship. In a lot of cases, that is very wealthy.
Yeah, and I was watching a video yesterday, Mr. Beast video, where he built and gave 100 houses away. And just seeing those people in South America, how much poverty they live in, it's crazy. It's like we have so much. Like when you said we aren't rich, we are very rich.
Yeah.
Like we are in the top 1% of the world probably. So it's like crazy how poor people have it and how easy it is just to look at people ahead of you and be like, oh, we're so far behind. But actually we're so far ahead if you see it in comparison to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
So, yeah, it's always so important. Like I think a really big thing is like we are always super grateful for what we have created and knowing that we have chosen this life. There's some times we hear it's like, oh, you're so lucky. It's like, no, we both really chose this life, and
through all the uncertainty and stuff,
this lifestyle is very different to the way that we both grew up. So it's like we have chosen each step of the way to create everything that we have in our life. Okay, so the next one is you both are very career orientated and ambitious.
I feel like you've had this biggest transition with this. I feel like growing up you were very hustle, and then it's changed a little bit recently.
I would say I'm very career orientated and ambitious. It's like I always have been. Even that now, I feel like what you're referring to is now that I enjoy, it's like I can't wait to be a stay-at-home mum and looking after Bub so much and like taking care of the household. But it's like on the day-to-day, I still help you so much with business and we have so many business meetings.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't career orientated or ambitious, I wouldn't be having those meetings.
Oh, you're super ambitious and stuff, but I feel like you're coming at it from such a different mindset than when you used to.
I feel
you
like
came at it from lack and needing safety before.
Yeah, and now I'm just coming from a place of like enjoyment, as well as I feel like if you go into like masculine and feminine energy, I really took work on my focus on my career from a very masculine point of view, which is very much like determined, like get it done, focus, like no matter what, I'm achieving this and
protect myself.
Yeah, just like very like I would say I used to come at my career very harshly and view it very like ride or die, like it's
and punish yourself with work.
Yeah, very much so. When I look at work and career, I feel like I'm a lot more in my feminine, where it's just like there's no need or have to. It's just get to when I want to.
And you flow within the day as well. Even before, you used to, when we first moved in together and Mia quit her job, it's like Mia used to feel like she had to follow my schedule and do all these things and have this morning routine. But then she realized she gets to choose whatever schedule she wants and flow within that. Yeah,
and something that I've really realized because my routine, because we're both still very routine orientated, was like being able to separate that, because Charlie was doing work the way that I always focused work from a masculine point of view, which is great and it works so well for you. And then when I was having that transition, I just felt so much guilt, and it's taken me like 2 years to really feel comfortable to even have my different routine. And right now with pregnancy and feeling tired in the morning and things like that, like I really enjoy having the slowest morning routine and just really being with myself for actually watching something on YouTube, and then really by like lunchtime to the afternoon and nighttime actually getting work done, because like I love having just such a slow morning rather than being like do the most important thing in the morning and really move the needle forward, which that is so helpful in different areas. And it's just like I'm not in that period of life right now.
Yeah, it's not what you want right now.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, very career orientated. I think it's very important as a man to have that purpose and direction in business, and then have something you're building towards without it being an unhealthy relationship towards feeling guilt if you're not working, or pressure, or coming from a place of lack or need. It's like my focus now is I've always worked a lot and been great at working a lot, and it's just adding the doing it from a place of enjoyment and finding ways to have positive emotions throughout it, not just guilt, not just distract myself with work, but flowing within that and figuring out what works best for me. Like I used to do these morning routines where I'd get up at 5 and go to the gym straight away, but I just didn't enjoy it. And by the end, just realizing how much I get to choose my day-to-day life and flow within that has been a big breakthrough. So yeah.
You don't have to like punish yourself each step.
Yeah, and just waking up at 5, having a cold shower, which felt great, but then going into the gym where it's loud music, bright lights, people walking everywhere. It's like I just felt so stressed out and my nervous system felt jacked afterwards. I just felt I didn't feel good afterwards. Then I just crash. So it's like having the slower start to the day where I wake up and I do a little bit of work, I go for a walk and then get into it. Just realizing I get to choose my schedule like that has been a good thing.
Yeah, it's very freeing, and also it takes a lot to feel okay with that. It's like I said, like it literally took me 2 years to feel okay with the direction change or the way that I approached business, and like without feeling guilt, because it's not like you would come up to me and be like, why aren't you working, da da da. It was just like my own self-negative talk in my head of like I really want to relax or like slowly get into it, but I would be like, I have to do this, so I'd get my laptop out, but I wouldn't be productive in that time because I would so it takes a while to like fully accept it and get rid of all those negative limiting beliefs. Okay, so then that goes into our next one, which is the assumption that we are both super confident, for example, talking on camera.
I was not confident whatsoever at the start. I have some early videos of me, like the first time trying to talk on camera, and it's so bad, like talking like a robot, so quiet. I just look scared. Like you watch the video, I just look so fearful and scared, and hopefully no one hears me and hopefully no one watches this anyway. And then it was like that for a long time, but just repetition with it. Literally posting a video every day for 2, 3, 4 years. And then now people look at me and say, you must be so confident on camera. Like you're such a confident person. I can speak on stages, talk into masterminds, do all these things. But it's like, that's been such a slow grind, and building on that and chipping away every single day to get to this point. So definitely not naturally confident, but I've just learned how to be confident.
Yeah, I believe that you and I are both very super confident people overall.
Now we are, yeah.
Yeah, so I believe I'm very confident. I'm just like more. I feel like especially the last year I've just become more. What is the wording? Just like happy with who I am and just like sure about who I am, and then knowing like the sense of like not needing to people please anymore, where I feel like that was a really big thing back in the day of like wanting to people please and make sure everyone's okay and likes me and all this stuff. And then I just come to the realization like I'm just so happy with the person that and proud of the person that I am, and just knowing that being the most authentic self, like my authentic self, I'm actually attracting people that I genuinely like and that genuinely like me, and we are very similar because of that. And all those years that I was people pleasing, I was just attracting people that we actually, our personalities didn't get along, but I was too busy mirroring their personality back to them to really see that.
Yeah.
And then talking on camera, I feel like the talking on camera one was for you because it's like I still have that nervousness of talking on camera, of like making sure, it's right. Like, is this engaging enough? I feel like I'm very, very just like
you overthink it,
mellow on the day to day. Like even on the podcast, that's why I enjoy the podcast, because it's just me chatting. Like this is
laid back.
Like I enjoy people that are just super calm on podcasts as well, and there's other people that are super high and engaging and like, oh my god, this drama is so cool. So I just feel like that's not naturally me sometimes.
And we wanted to create this podcast so it's not super informational based. It's more so relaxed. You get to listen to us. It's not just personal development, because I've personally felt so burnt out of just constantly listening to personal development, where I was just like, I want to listen to people just chat, talk about their life, share stories, share their lessons, and that's what we're trying to create. Yeah,
and I think like sometimes when we film like courses or TikToks or like reels and things like that, I like second guess myself of like, should it be like a lot more engaging and like hyper, and to the extent that's like not me, which then I always just come back to like the more authentic I am, the more that's going to come across.
Yeah.
which is always really good. So yeah, talking on camera and being authentically myself on camera is definitely something I'm working on. But I also think doing the podcast is just so easy because it's just, this is naturally me.
And you've improved so much through that as well.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Thank you. And then I feel like doing the podcast, since like this just genuinely just feels like you guys are sitting in front of us and we're just having a big chat.
Yeah.
And it just feels so authentic that this will help me become more authentic when I am recording courses and things like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So third last one, which is you always get along and never disagree.
Never disagree. Sometimes we disagree.
Yeah. I feel it's like in life with anyone, you both have different childhoods. You both view the world through your own lens, through your own belief systems, through your own...
Everyone has their perspective of what's right and wrong, don't they?
Yeah. And it's like we've grown up not with each other.
Completely different lives.
Yeah. So it's like your perception on things is going to be different to mine because it's like your development... Sorry, I just said my words. Blah, blah, blah. It's like through those 7 years, like your first 7 years is really when your belief system is formed, and then it's like those beliefs that you form when you're 7, you just reaffirm those consistently through the rest of your life.
Unless you become aware of them.
Unless you become aware of them and choose differently. And so with that, it's like we naturally see things differently. Even like I feel like we do disagree on certain things, and it's because that we are so confident that we can openly disagree with each other.
Yeah.
Like you'll say something and you seem really passionate about it. I'm like, oh, I actually disagree. And we even say that on the podcast, like when you share something, I'm like, oh, I disagree with that and see it this way.
Yeah.
But I think since we have very similar values, we do agree on a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that we just see differently.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more to add to that. It's like we agree on most things because we have very similar values and we've spoken about stuff so much. And then when we don't agree on things, like that's fine also. We talk into that. So yeah, not much more to add to that.
Cool. So second last one is you both show up for each other.
I think we show up for each other.
Yeah, of course.
I think we show up for each other, like supporting each other with all these little things. And the biggest thing Mia does for me, which I really appreciate, is her belief in me. Whenever I'm feeling unconfident or I doubt myself, she's always there to be a cheerleader and say like, fuck yeah, of course you can do this. Like, this is so easy. You're so great at this. This is going to go great. Her just constantly showing up for me in that sense has been huge for me.
That's so sweet.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. And yeah, I just believe we always show up for each other. We're just so... I think I'm so used to it now that it's not that I don't notice it, but we're just so used to being there for each other. And like something that we really pride ourselves on is being interdependent, of being able to rely on the other person so much that it encourages us to take risks outside of our comfort zone in other areas of our life. So I feel like that's so secure and reassuring to have that. And we've had it for so long that it's so great just to know that it's there.
Yeah, like we can fully rely on ourselves and we can fully rely on each other. And that just feels so freeing.
Oh, 100%. Okay, and then lucky last one is that we're super excited to be parents. Yes, I am super excited to be a mum and for us to be parents. I feel like we already, like what I just said, is like since we are so interdependent, and I believe bringing up our child in such a secure and loving home is just going to be so beautiful and loving, and I'm just so excited to raise a child because there's already so much support. And
it's just excited to like days like this and just be cuddling our child on the sofa and just watching it day by day growing up and learning different things, and the amount of personal development stuff we've done and being able to embed that into our child of all these positive beliefs and making the child so secure and believe in himself. And it's gonna be great.
And we just also, like, since we have done so much personal development, we also make sense on how the brain works and how much the brain develops within those first few years, when a lot of parents are like, oh, you know, they're so young, they're not going to remember it, when in reality it's like actually their nervous system will remember it. And so many the unconscious mind, so many beliefs are forming right now. And that's when a lot of parents are like, oh, when they're older I'll like retire and be able to spend more time with them or become financially secure so they don't spend much time with their kids in those early years, when in reality it's like those first 7 to 10 years which are the most important.
And we filmed the whole podcast. The last episode, if you go back and listen to that, it's all around what type of parents we'll be, and will we be sending the kids to school, and how will we raise them, and all these different things. So go check that out if you want to hear more about the parenthood stuff. And yeah, just really excited to be a parent, and the life we've designed for ourselves of being able to have so much time to spend with the kids and not send the kids off to daycare every single day, but being able to raise him or her at home, I think will be such a huge thing.
So sweet.
Amazing. So they're the assumptions that you guys have made about us. And yeah, if you got any more, or if you got questions, shoot them over on Instagram. Our Instagram should be below this. And we do a Q&A episode once a month, so we'll get those answered there. But other than that, what are we excited for this week, Mia Cherry?
This week, my sister is coming up to the Gold Coast, and so all of my 5 sisters and I and my stepmom are all having like a sleepover together. So we're going to spend like a day together and then a night, like a sleepover, which will be really sweet.
That's going to be so sweet. With all
so that's tomorrow, so I'm really excited for that.
Yeah,
really
I'm excited to get back into the gym. Like the last week I haven't exercised because I've been pretty sick, and realizing how much of an effect that has on how I feel mentally. So I'm excited to get back into that, build up some energy again, fuck this virus off, and yeah, just get back into routine with that. So I'm excited.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you send this video to your partner if you want to build the emotional intimacy and intellectual intimacy. We see so many couples doing that, so that's a great thing to do. And other than that, join us every single Monday where we release a new episode. And this is episode number 26. We've done 26 episodes in 26 weeks. That's 6 months worth. That's pretty cool.
The consistency is key, guys.
Paying off. Amazing, guys. Catch you next week.